Hello, I'm Aman from Market CT. Today we will see how Bharti Airtel has been performing over the years, how is the present situation in the company like, and whether you should go about buying or selling the stocks of the company. But before that, let's have a look at the present scenario of Bharti Airtel. Economic Times has reported that Moody's has cut Airtel's rating to junk grade. Analysts say that telecom companies must cut debt quickly as leverage is high. On November 19th, 2012, Economic Times had reported that Bharti Airtel stock had registered a rise of over 15% because of reduction in policy overhang and strong earnings growth. Bharti Airtel had closed 2.8% higher at rupees 309.8 with an intraday low of rupees 302.5. The stock was then issued a buy recommendation with a target price of rupees 375 in short term. Exactly 6 years later, in November 2018, a financial service company had a buy call on Bharti Airtel with target price of rupees 392, while the market price that time was rupees 331.75. However, the market competition has never been less fierce. Reliance Jio Infocomm took over as a service provider for railways from January 2019, which led to Bharti Airtel stock close 1.15% lower. For Bharti Airtel, the last many years have been a roller coaster ride for sure. After its inception, over just 8 years, Bharti Airtel showed a tremendous growth with just one circle in 1996 to 22 circles in 2004. Today, the company has its operations in 18 countries across Asia and Africa. Let's see what experts have to say on this. We have with us Mr. Naman, who will be sharing his valuable inputs on various facets of Bharti Airtel. Welcome, Mr. Naman. What is your opinion about the business model of Bharti Airtel?
Well, the business model of Bharti Airtel is fairly simple. It is going ahead with key partners like Google, Cisco, Nokia, and Samsung. And the key value proposition it provides for its customer is like mobile networking, data connection, internet, broadband service, calling, email, and digital services. For corporate segment business clients, it provides services like IT, high-speed internet connection, management, staff management, and emails and interview networks, etc. So this forms a basically customer side of the business as such. On the cost segments or the cost structure side, insurance companies, infrastructure, lease maintenance, and these form the cost of the organization. That's really about the business model of the company.
So that is a business model at present, but how do you think the company has performed since the time of its inception?
Okay. Since its inception in '94, it wins the GSM licenses, and it becomes in '97 it became the first service provider of more than 1 lakh customers. It moved on to cross 100 million customers in 2009 and started expanding. In 2011, it acquired 3G licenses for its customers, and soon after in 2012, it was the first company in India to launch 4G network services as well. Apart from that, currently, latest the stock has been performing quite underratedly, and it has seen a downfall over the past 2-3 years as such, and it is priced at around 313 rupees as of now.
So seems like it has been performing quite well in the last some years, though there have been ups and downs in the market. How do you feel as in the company's place in terms of its strengths, its weaknesses, or the challenges in the market right now?
Yeah. So in terms of the strengths, the company has a very renowned. It's a very renowned telecom company, and it has seen a very high brand equity from its customers. So another challenges, as I was mentioning, there is a very high debt which is currently being faced by Bharti Airtel, and it has been rising over the past few years. Also, it faces some challenges from the new entrant Jio, which has been steadily acquiring a very high share in the market, which was unprecedented in the telecom industry so far. And coming to opportunities, it has very significant opportunities with the strategic partnership and alliances with companies which have value-added services and aided benefits to its customers apart from just mobile network services. From the threat aspect, we face threat from we see threat that Airtel has from government regulations and changing policies,
Okay.
also along lines of licenses and how they go about actually mapping network banks with government agencies as such.
I see. But if we revisit the past, 2003 to 2004, I remember had been a big year for Bharti Airtel. What was it all about?
Basically, the company saw an unprecedented growth. It had 64% of its revenue coming from mainstream mobile network services. So that was a year which earmarked the growth of the mobile network industry as such in India as well.
But I think all of this would not have been possible at all without a very strong management team. What is your thoughts about the corporate governance and the management team that we have in the company?
Okay. So the board of directors is constituted of the chairman and the group managing director. They work in close coordination with the joint director and the joint managing director and the joint managing director in the CFO office. So the company structure is divided into four business heads basically.
Okay.
One is marketing, another is corporate affairs, third is finance, and the fourth is special projects, which includes various new initiatives or value-added services that you can find. So all these cumulatively report to the board of governors, and if you look at the corporate governance mechanism which Bharti Airtel has currently, so we did a P questions and E questions, which is public domain available questions and exclusive questions, etc. And this is to understand actually how is the corporate governance of Bharti placed as opposed to its peers. So we have arrived at a score of 53.8 out of 70, which is basically a 77% score, which
Okay.
lies in the region of a good corporate governance. So it is not a very good or an excellent corporate governance, but it's a good corporate.
It's a good corporate governance. So if we have a look at the telecom sector, Mr. Naman, around 46% of the market share is occupied by the wireless market. The wired market commands only 1% of the share. Reliance, with a market share of 23.8%, is a very close rival of Airtel right now. And even though Reliance has very minimal footprint in states like Gujarat and Tamil Nadu, it has got a very dominant position in places like Delhi, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, and even Karnataka. What is your analysis of the telecom sector right now in India?
So if we look at the telecom industry as such, we can analyze the industry through Porter's 5 forces. And by Porter's 5 forces, so if you look at the current industry threat of substitutes, there is basically no substitute for mobile devices or mobile network service providers as such. And the new entrants, majorly all the new entrants which were operating on a small scale were pushed out of the market by the dominant players in the market. So that also is quite a weak threat as such. But supplier power is basically market makers, and it requires a huge investment in capital and infrastructure to come up with a strong
Very true.
network providing service. But the industry faces huge threat from the competition, as you may be aware of, and the new entrants have changed the market dynamics in itself, and which is unprecedented in the history of telecoms industry. Also, the buyer power is significantly high with the advent of mobile portability feature. People are actually more open to options, and they do not mind switching over to different networks to try out what is best for them.
Well, that very well sums up the entire industry overview. But you mentioned competition, and I'll touch upon that as well. Reliance Jio Infocom is becoming a major rival for Airtel right now. How do you find the developments happening?
The last 2 years since 4G services being offered at a relatively cheaper rate from Jio, the market has seen quite a shift in the dynamics with the increase in the data consumption as well. So there's a strong competition that we see from there, and it has also consolidated the market a bit within the just top 4 and 5 players. So if you look at the current market scenario after Jio's entrance, there are top 5 players which are remaining in the market are basically Airtel, Vodafone Idea, Jio, BSNL and MTN. Actually 4, not 5.
Okay. So, can you run us through the financial analysis, the detailed financial analysis of Bharti Airtel?
Sure. So, if we look at the segment-wise scenario of the Bharti Airtel as a company, then we understand that close to 51% of the revenue comes from mobile services itself, and mobile services are also contribute to around 22% of the revenues, which is overseas operations. Right. So this has been, and because this is a major contribution, then because it is a major contributor. Around 34% hit in the EBITDA has been taken in the last financial year, specifically because of the fall in the revenues in India itself. However, other businesses which are value-added businesses are doing fairly well, be it digital services or mobile service revenue, which accounts for around 30% of the revenue in Africa, and Airtel business as well. Okay, moving on. Then, sorry. So as you can see, the Bharti Airtel also recently lost one of its major contracts, which was Indian Railways to Jio. And if you understand it carefully, around 1.5 US billion dollars worth of the debts in the bonds, which is expected to reduce by the coming financial year, and we don't see any we don't see any concrete revenue streams as such to support such kind of a debt repayment. Moving on, we did a financial analysis in depth according to the net profit margin and the ROE of the company. As you can see on the graph on the top left, that there is around consistent decline in the last 4 years since Jio's entrance into the market of the return on equity. In fact, it has fallen as low as 2% over the current financial year. Furthermore, the debt to equity ratio is also rising and has seen steady increase since Jio's entrance, and also the interest coverage ratio and debt service coverage ratio basically, and the interest coverage ratio both have been on a free fall like a roller coaster. Moving on to the liquidity analysis and moving on to the capital gearing ratio and the how company is structured, we understand that it has a capital gearing of 5.4. Motor holding is close to 67%, which is basically Bharti Telecom Limited, and arriving at the if you understand carefully, if you look at the revenues from revenues, reserves, borrowings, and other liabilities. So borrowings, it has risen from 75,895 to 211,333 in March 2018. And similarly, if you look at the reserves of the company, which is basically the equity, it has actually deteriorated quite a lot from 57,000 to 37,000 in March 2015. But overall, the rise has just been in 10,000 crores. So overall, the capital structure as such has not developed, and it is basically more debt intensive than equity intensive. Moving on to the liquidity, the returns that we see for ROA specifically and ROE are actually declined. It is 1.6% ROE just in the previous financial year, and the net profit margin has reduced to 1.3%. Although it has a healthy operating profit margin, primarily contracts and the nature of the service model which is operating in. However, the solvency ratio is also just 0.16. In the trends, if you look at the last 10 years trends or 7 years trend, or even 5 years trend, we see quite a positive sales growth. But in the last 3 years, the sales have declined. In the last year itself, it saw a 3.6% dip, and in the worst case scenario, it could have seen a dip of 4.51%. Okay, so we did an extensive DCF evaluation for this company, and we arrived at a target price of 298.19 in the 1 year target period, which is a decline from the current market price of 313.85, which is a 5% fall. We recommend a sell on the stock, and in the event that the company sees the blue skies, which is gain of the rapid market share through 5G network, then it might rise up to 326 in the 1 year target price that we have. As per the rating history of Bharti Airtel stands, CRISIL has downgraded its rating from AA plus to AA stable in the recently concluded ratings. Similarly, Moody's just last week concluded a BB1 rating, BA1 rating, which is on a negative outlook, which is basically saying that the stock is a junk, and ICRA also has been downgraded the rating. These are primarily on factors because of Airtel's performance is expected to deteriorate in the coming in the face of the competition, and also the debt structure has seen a more weightage towards the debt than capital in the past few years.
Thank you, Mr. Naman, for your valuable inputs. So, as per the recommendations of Mr. Rating stands at AA with an underweight outlook. Mr. Naman has also provided us with a number of annexures which will be of a lot of benefit to our viewers. That's all from Market ET for today. Thank you.